Homeless girl steals wallet from billionaire, discover the hidden truth that changed their lives. Jessica wrapped her arms tight around her knees, the chill of the gray pavement seeping into her skin. The bustling sounds of downtown engulfed her, honking horns, distant laughter, and the quick footsteps of busy people passing by without a glance. She was just another face, another shadow, in a city that never seemed to look back. Beneath her tattered blanket, she imagined a world where dreams were within reach. A job, her own place, maybe even a family again. But instead, each day felt like an uphill battle. The memories of her mother's gentle smile pushed her forward, despite the gnawing ache of loss caused by addiction that had torn them apart. Hope lingered, flickering like a fragile flame. On the other side of this vibrant city, Richard, a billionaire tech mogul, gazed out from the sleek glass walls of his skyscraper. The glow from his monitors reflected off his face. Success was all around him, yet he felt emptiness gnawing at his core. He worked tirelessly, seeking validation and accolades that felt hollow, his family's voices fading echoes. As he rode the elevator to the top, an oppressive loneliness settled in, and he longed for genuine connections amidst all this wealth. That fateful night, while Jessica fumbled through a trash can, hunger clawed at her stomach. The chill in the air made her shiver. She spotted Richard leaving a high-end restaurant, laughter spilling from him and his friends. Amid the revelry, Jessica's heart raced as she spotted a glimmer of his wallet slipping from his fingers. Desperation overtook her. She snatched it in a split second, gripping it tight as adrenaline surged through her veins. The city held its breath. Inside his luxurious world, Richard's joy evaporated the moment he realized the wallet was missing. An unsettling turmoil churned within him. Should he seek justice? He clenched the wallet in his hands, grappling with the question that chilled him to the bone. A world of money and power held no value against the urgency of survival. He felt that immediately. For Jessica, the stolen wallet was a lifeline. Yet for Richard, it was a mirror reflecting his own buried fears. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The realities of living on the streets crashed down harder with every passing hour. Jessica's breath quickened as she sensed the judgmental stares of passerby. She could feel their disdain, their prejudice. It was a harsh reminder of her fate, a reminder that survival sometimes meant blurring moral lines. Yet deep down, her longing for dignity burned bright. As she laid her head down for the night, a makeshift home of rags, and hope, her thoughts lingered on reconciling with family, like a distant dream echoing through an empty hall. As the stars blinked above, fate had crafted a delicate thread between their lives. Two souls both struggling, unaware that the city's pulse would soon bind them. Would Richard's choice lead to healing, or deepen their wounds? The question loomed heavily, an emotional conundrum waiting to unfold as they neared their fateful encounter. Time would tell if one moment of humanity could transform their lives forever. The next morning dawned cool and gray, with clouds blanketing the sky like a soggy comforter. Jessica awoke to the familiar sounds of the city, the cacophony of sirens, the rumble of buses, and the shouts of street vendors as they set up for the day. She blinked the sleep from her eyes, catching a glimpse of the wallet nestled against her makeshift pillow of discarded fabric. A pang of guilt shot through her. Part of her knew that what she did was wrong, but the other part, the part desperately clinging to survival, felt victorious. She turned the wallet over in her hands, the leather smooth and warm from the previous night. It seemed almost out of place in her world, where everything was worn and weathered. The thought of returning it shot through her mind like a lightning bolt. Could she really give back what she had taken? Her stomach growled, and she felt the weight of hunger press down once more. Meanwhile, Richard stirred awake in his expansive penthouse, the early morning sun casting beams through the tall windows. He sat up, staring at the city stretching before him. Moments later, he reached for the bedside table, only to find his wallet missing. Panic washed over him, followed by frustration. Who would dare steal from him? As he dressed, anger mingled with curiosity. Why would someone risk their freedom for a couple of bills and a few cards? He felt an unsettling connection to the thief, as if they shared a common thread woven from desperation. Standing in front of the mirror, Richard took a deep breath. He had the means to replace everything, but it fueled a deeper discontent within him. Why did he care so much? He needed to find her. Not out of revenge but for understanding. He put on a button-up shirt and left his apartment, ready to explore the underbelly of the city that was often hidden beneath the glitz and glamour he occupied. Jessica walked into a corner cafe, the aroma of coffee wafting through the air. She knew she was risking a lot by lingering in a place where people could spot her, but the promise of food was too tempting to ignore. As she cautiously approached the counter, her heart raced. She fished through the wallet and found a few crumpled bills. It wasn't much, but it was enough to buy her a warm meal. Just as she was about to order, the bell above the cafe's door jingled, and in walked Richard. He scanned the room until his gaze settled on her. Time seemed to freeze as their eyes locked. She felt terror and exhilaration all at once. Did he know? He walked toward her, uncertainty creeping into his steps. What did he want? Would he be angry? Jessica's palms grew sweaty against the wallet. She thought of running, but something pulled her feet to the ground. "Excuse me," he said, his voice hesitant. Can I help you with something?" She stammered, surprised to hear her voice sound so brittle. In that moment, the bustling cafe faded into the background, and it was just the two of them. Would this be an act of revenge or a chance for something deeper? "What really happened last night?" he asked, and Jessica's heart raced. The moment hung in suspense, both hopeful and terrifying. What would she say? A flicker of determination ignited within her. This was it. The moment they had both been waiting for, a chance to change everything. What would she choose? The truth or the lie that seemed so much easier? Jessica's throat went dry. The weight of Richard's question hung in the air like a thick fog, obscuring everything else around them. Her heart pounded violently against her ribs, and she felt a mix of panic and raw adrenaline coursing through her veins. This was a pivotal moment, teetering on the edge of something monumental, both terrifying and electrifying. It was just I needed it," she managed, her voice barely above a whisper. Richard furrowed his brow, confusion dancing across his features. "Needed it? You mean my wallet?" She glanced down, focusing on the worn leather in her hands, as if it were a lifeline she could cling to. "I could have just returned it. I thought maybe you wouldn't notice. I just needed food." I'm sorry." His eyes softened just a fraction, a glimmer of understanding flooding his gaze, which struck Jessica like a ray of light piercing through clouds. "You're hungry," he observed, a hint of sadness creeping into his voice. "That's why you took it." Tears sprang to Jessica's eyes, and she blinked them away, not wanting to appear weak in front of this man who wore wealth like a suit of armor. "I'm not proud of it," she said, her conviction wavering. I didn't know what else to do." Richard's expression shifted from frustration to empathy, as if he were seeing beneath the surface, grasping at the threads of her reality. "Everyone's entitled to a second chance," he said softly. "I suppose I can understand desperation." For a dizzying moment, she saw more than just a rich man standing in front of her. She saw someone willing to see her, truly see her, and not just the act of stealing. "Do you have anywhere to stay?" he asked, and his concern was genuine. A laugh escaped from Jessica, bitter and self-deprecating. "Why? So you can buy me a bed too? Doesn't he work like that? I'm just trying to survive." "No," he interrupted gently, almost pleading. "I want to know if you're okay." That means more than he hesitated, searching for the right words, than anything else. In that instant, something significant shifted between them. It was the deepest form of vulnerability, stripped bare of the pretense that life often wore. "I managed," she replied, feigning strength even as her voice trembled. "But I won't forget this. I have to think," she stammered, words careening beyond her control. "I don't want to keep this wallet. Just can I give it back?" He hesitated, a spark of surprise lighting his eyes. "Keep it," he said, shaking his head slowly. "No one has to know." "Why would you do that?" she asked incredulously, the weight of his offer crashing down around her like a wave. "Because I know what it's like to be scared and alone," he answered, reaching out to touch her arm very lightly, the warmth igniting something inside her. "Let us make this less complicated. I'll buy you breakfast and then we can figure things out together. Jessica's stomach twisted in knots, both from hunger and a burgeoning sense of hope. Two worlds colliding, risking everything for a simple meal and an unlikely connection. Could this be a turning point, a lifeline thrown into her chaos? Her breath quickened as she weighed her options anew. Say yes and let him into her shattered world, or turn away, retreating back into her shell of solitary survival. Okay, she whispered, the word barely escaping her lips. Before she could talk herself out of it, she felt the grip of fate shift underfoot, pulling her toward a possible future. But just as they began to step forward, the cafe door swung open violently, and a figure burst inside, sending a jolt through Jessica's already hammering heart. I need to talk to you now, the newcomer shouted, fixing their wild gaze on Richard. And suddenly the moment unraveled into chaos once more. The sudden intrusion shattered the fragile moment they had built. Jessica's heart raced. She turned her head instinctively to the newcomer, her mind reeling with questions. Who was this person? Why were they so intense? Richard, on the other hand, stood rooted to the spot, his face a study of surprise shifting to annoyance. Jake? What are you doing here? Richard's voice was strained, a hint of irritation creeping in. Jake, tall and disheveled, his shirt untucked and hair unkempt, looked just as wild as his demeanor. I came to find you. He stepped closer, eyes darting between Jessica and Richard, suspicion lighting on his features. We need to talk. It's about that deal. Jessica could feel the world ebbing away as tension built in the air around them. She wasn't sure if she should stay or run. In this critical moment, Richard was still blocking the path to her escape, while Jake seemed like a storm ready to unleash itself. Not here, Richard shot back, his voice low but firm, the cracks of authority seeping through. I don't want to talk about that here. But it's important. Jake insisted, his voice rising. You can't just ignore this, Richard. People are talking. You need to handle it before it's south, not your place. Richard interrupted, his tone sharp, and Jessica instinctively took a step back, sensing the shift in the atmosphere. Suddenly everything felt too loud, too crowded. She could feel the eyes of the cafe patrons drawn towards them, whispers buzzing. No longer the quiet refuge, this place pulsed with someone else's chaos. Maybe I should go, Jessica murmured, her heart suddenly dense with uncertainty. She hated being the cause of tension. Richard turned to her, his expression softening again, though the fire of urgency still flickered in his eyes. No, don't leave. Jake's head snapped back to her, confusion intertwining with hostility. Who is she? Richard's jaw tightened. I told you it's not she's just someone I met, Richard retorted with a bite. Someone who deserves a chance. The tension in the air finally broke. The room shrank into a bubble around their little triangle of interpersonal chaos. Jessica felt an unexpected warmth at Richard's words. Deserve a chance. For a fleeting moment, that phrase pierced through her shame. Could she actually believe it? Could a small opportunity lead to something brighter? Jessica. She took a breath and composed herself. I'm Jessica. The name floated between them, a lifebuoy tossed into turbulent waters. Serious business, Jake scoffed, casting a derisive glance at her, then back at Richard. And you think playing hero with her is the solution? You can't just throw money at everything. Richard returned fire with his eyes, confidence radiating from him. It's about more than money, Jake. Maybe you're missing the point. Jessica's heart quickened at the mounting conflict. This was bigger than her, and she felt herself snapping back to reality. Yet she could see the humanity in Richard's fight, how he was willing to stand up. Whatever this is, keep it away from me, Jake spat, taking a step back. The last thing you need is more baggage. As Jake turned to confront the cafe crowd, the energy shifted, leaving Jessica in that inexplicable silence once more. Baggage, she thought, her pulse throbbing. Had she really become the baggage? Yet here Richard was, sharing his space for her, believing in her at least for this moment. Wait, she called, both to Richard and the crisis unfolding. I need to know what's going on. As the cafe strayed more into chaos, she felt a pull, an instinct to dive deeper into this unraveling world. The gravity of Richard's challenges beckoned her forward, but was she ready to face whatever came next? Richard locked eyes with her, a silent agreement passing between them. Let us figure this out together. No matter what. Just then, the cafe door swung closed behind Jake, and it dawned on her the fallout might be bigger than either of them expected. But would she choose to stay and confront it, or flee back into the shadows she had known for so long? The moment Jake left, the tension lingered in the air like a thick fog. Jessica felt it settle around her, heavy and suffocating. The whispers of the cafe patrons faded into the background, leaving only the chaotic rhythm of her heart. Richard's presence nearby grounded her, but the uncertainty still churned within. "What just happened?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Richard ran a hand through his hair, his stress plain on his face. "We need to focus on that deal, but I can't do this without some transparency." He turned towards her, gaze intense. "I didn't want you to get pulled into this mess. You don't deserve it." Uncertainty twisted in Jessica's stomach. What kind of mess was this? She sensed layers of desperation behind Richard's words. "What's this deal? Is it dangerous?" He leaned against the cafe wall, his shoulders slumping as if carrying a weight too heavy to bear. "I've made some bad choices, Jessica. Business deals that weren't exactly above board. And Jake's not wrong. People are talking. It could implode if we don't sort it out quickly." Her heart raced, flashes of doubt clouding her mind. "And I'm just supposed to follow you into this chaos? What if it's too much for me?" "You're not just some tag-along," he replied passionately. "You have a voice. You deserve a future. This isn't just my fight anymore. I don't want to let anything or anyone drag you down." Despite the whirlwind around them, that small flicker of hope burned bright in her chest. Richard's belief in her stirred something deep within, but fear still tugged at her. "What if it all goes wrong?" she asked, struggling to keep the quiver from her voice. "Every choice carries risks." He stepped closer, lowering his voice so it felt more intimate. "But what if it leads us somewhere better? I can't promise safety, but I can promise to fight whatever comes our way. Together." Jessica looked into his eyes, searching for certainty, but all she saw was the same turmoil reflected back. Still, there was something liberating about not standing alone. If she could stand by Richard, maybe she could stand up for herself too. After a moment of silence, something shifted inside her. "Okay, I'll stay." The words felt bold as they left her lips, a vow between them. Richard's expression softened, relief washing over his features. "Thank you. We figure this out, we'll make a plan." At that moment, a soft chime rang from the cafe door, and a woman entered, late 30s, sharp suit and a determined expression. The air thickened again, tension creeping back as she approached their table. Jessica's instincts kicked in. Something felt off. "What is happening here?" the woman asked, her eyes narrowing, darting from Richard to Jessica. "I've been looking for you." "Who are you?" Richard demanded, posture immediately defensive. "Let's just say I'm with someone very interested in that deal you're working on," she said, her tone sharp and businesslike. "Another player in the game?" Jessica whispered to Richard, anxiety blooming inside her. "More like a warning," the woman retorted, crossing her arms, an imposing figure in her sharp attire. Jessica felt the weight of the world closing in again. The cafe abruptly felt smaller, their worries spiraling. She was about to step back into the shadows she thought she could escape. "Tell us what you know," Richard said, his voice steady, yet tight with concern. "You need to be careful. This isn't a game, and everyone gets hurt. I'd hate for innocent people to get dragged into this mess." As the woman's words floated ominously through the air, Jessica's heart pounded. Were they truly innocent? Was she just trapped in this dangerous web now? "What are you talking about?" Richard pressed, his voice a mix of urgency and caution. But before she could unravel more, the door swung open again and time seemed to freeze. In walked Jake, eyes blazing with fury. And Jessica knew that this confrontation was only the beginning. What lay on the other side of it could change everything. But was it the change they were looking for, or something darker entirely? Jake's entrance sent a shockwave through the cafe, the tension snapping like a taut string. His eyes darted from the woman to Richard, then landed on Jessica with an intensity that made her skin crawl. "What's going on here?" Jake's voice was sharp, slicing through the thick atmosphere. "Just a casual chat," Richard replied, his posture tense as he shielded Jessica with a protective stance. "Casual? That's funny," Jake shot back, sarcasm lacing his words. His gaze turned to the woman, sizing her up. So you're the reason Richard's been acting all paranoid lately. I don't have time for your games, Jake, Richard said, frustration boiling beneath the surface. The woman stepped forward, her presence commanding. Let us not waste time, shall we? This isn't a playground. The stakes are way higher than you think. What do you know about the deal? Jake asked, his expression hardening. And what's your connection? Jessica stood in stunned silence, unsure if she should say something or just stay out of it. She could feel the tension coil tighter and tighter, like a spring ready to burst. She glanced at Richard, who held her gaze for a moment, silently urging her to trust him. The woman folded her arms, a slight smirk on her lips. I know enough to understand that your business could have serious repercussions. Yeah, people are talking and not just whispers. The sharks are circling. Jake's face grew dark as he stepped closer, fists clenched. Who do you think you are? You roll in here acting all high and mighty, but you don't know what you're dealing with. Trust me, the woman replied coolly. I know exactly what I'm dealing with. I'm here to make sure you don't take my client down with you. We're not going anywhere, Richard snapped, heat rising in his tone. This is our decision, and we're not afraid of a few sharks. You should be, she returned, her voice dropping to a hushed urgency. The last thing you need is a fight you can't win. Life isn't a movie, Richard. People get hurt. I don't want either of you to be collateral damage. The cafe felt electric, patrons glancing over, whispers flaring up like sparks igniting a flame. Jessica could feel their curious eyes weighing her down. She wanted to scream, to run, to escape this claustrophobic space. What if she's right? Jessica finally found her voice, the question slipping out before she could second-guess herself. What if we're in way over our heads? Richard turned to her, surprise and warmth flickering in his eyes. I appreciate your concern, Jess, but we need to see this through. We can find a way to make it right. Before Jessica could respond, Jake burst out, You think this is about making it right? This is about survival. His breath came in short bursts, tension simmering just beneath the surface. Look around. This isn't just a deal anymore. It's war. A heavy silence settled, the cafe's muted conversations falling away like leaves in autumn. The woman's eyes narrowed. If you want to play, you need to understand the risks. You don't want to end up on the wrong side of this. Jessica felt the walls close in again, panic clawing at her. All the nagging doubts flooded back. The courage she'd felt moments ago now felt like a fragile shell ready to crack. Suddenly, Jake stepped closer, his voice low and conspiratorial. You want to play dirty? Then let us get dirty. It's not just your life on the line anymore. At that moment, Jessica's heart raced, uncertainty drowning her thoughts. This wasn't just about them anymore. It was spiraling into chaos, and the stakes were higher than any of them understood. Are you really prepared for this? The woman asked, piercing eyes searching each of their faces. Jessica took a breath, trying to steady herself. She wasn't just a bystander anymore. This was her life too, and she had to choose a side. As the door creaked open again, the cafe felt like a pressure cooker about to explode. A tension that crackled in the air, leaving Jessica wondering if they would emerge whole, or if they would be forever lost. What decisions would they make in the heat of the moment? And could they really survive the chaos ahead? Jessica's heart raced, hammering in her chest as the weight of the moment bore down on her. The air was thick with tension, and she could feel the eyes of the cafe darting between the four of them like a game of chess gone awry. Maybe it was time to speak up after all. Her voice counted in this mess. Wait, she called, cutting through the palpable silence. What do you want from us? If it's about the deal, we can talk this out. I mean, we didn't sign up for a fight. Jake shot her a look, a mix of frustration and disbelief. You can't just back down, Jess. That's exactly what they want. This isn't about talking it out. It's about standing your ground. The woman tilted her head slightly, intrigued. Question of bravery, is it? Her tone was condescending, yet there was a spark of admiration buried beneath her stern exterior. You'd be surprised how many people crumble when faced with real risk. Jessica clenched her fists, trying to chase away the rising tide of fear. What do you consider real risk? We're just trying to survive our own lives here, and I'd rather not let it become a battlefield. Richard stepped forward, his voice firm. We have to take control. Let the chips fall where they may. We didn't ask for this, but we won't let anyone push us around either. If you think you can handle this, the woman replied with a slight growl, you're playing with fire. Make no mistake, the people involved are dangerous. Jake took a step closer to the woman, teeth gritted. And you're here warning us? Don't act like you're trying to help. You just want to save your own skin, right? There was a flicker of something, fear or perhaps vulnerability in the woman's eyes, but it vanished quickly, replaced by steely resolve. It's about responsibility, Jake. Everyone has a part to play in this. Jessica's stomach twisted as she tried to keep up, absorbing the rapidly escalating confrontation. She wasn't used to all this anger and malice. This was supposed to be a normal day at the cafe, her sanctuary. Now it felt like a cage and the bars were closing in. Listen, Jessica interrupted, trying to drown out the chaos. If we're going to get through this, we need to be honest. What have you gotten us into, Richard? She turned to him, searching for answers. And what do you really know? Their eyes locked, and in that instant, all the unsaid words thrashed against the walls between them. He took a breath, hesitation dancing across his features. I thought I could manage it, but things are worse than I realized. The woman leaned in, her voice dropping to a whisper. Your league's in over your heads and the clock is ticking. You need to decide. Are you in or are you out? Jessica felt a sudden rush of defiance surge through her. I want to run. We want to run. But I need to know the truth. All of it. It fell silent again. Even the distant chatter of the cafe patrons faded away. The weight of the moment pressed upon them all, like the pause before an inevitable storm. Jake cut through the intensity, staring deadpan at the woman. What's your stake in this? Why are you here? There was a beat, a lingering breathless second. Then she drew back, folding her arms. Because sometimes the line between predator and prey is as thin as a slicing knife. And I'd rather not be on the menu. Just as the tension soared, the door swung open, and a figure stepped into the cafe, casting a shadow that caused everyone to freeze. Jessica's pulse picked up as recognition settled in her gut. The newcomer was someone she recognized all too well. Looks like the game just changed, the woman said ominously, her tone shifting. Who was this new player in their dangerous game? Jessica's heart raced, and the weight of all their decisions bore down harder than ever. Would they stand together, or would they fracture under the pressure? The figure stepped into the cafe, the muffled sounds of the outside world dimming like the flickering of a dying light. Jessica's throat tightened as she took in the familiar face. It was Emily, her childhood friend, but her appearance had changed. Gone was the carefree girl Jessica once knew. Now Emily looked worn, haunted by life's hardships. Emily? Jessica whispered, disbelief etched in her voice. Emily's eyes darted around the cafe, scanning for something or someone before locking onto Jessica's gaze. A moment passed, heavy with unasked questions and the memory of shared laughter from long ago. Then everything shifted. Emily's face twisted into a semblance of a smile, but Jessica could see the fear lurking behind it. Jess, she said, her voice barely above a whisper, I didn't expect to see you here. None of us did, Richard interjected, stepping closer. What is happening? The tension in the room felt electric. Emily took a hesitant step forward, her hands trembling slightly. I need your help. Help? Jake's voice boomed with skepticism. You pop up out of nowhere, looking like you've been through hell, and you just expect us to jump in? Jake stopped, Jessica pleaded. What is going on, Emily? Emily hesitated, glancing back at the woman who had been warning them. With a deep breath she pressed on. I'm in trouble. Real trouble. You don't understand. There are people after me, dangerous people. An uneasy silence awoke in the cafe, sweeping through the group like a cold draft. Jessica felt her heart drop. What have you gotten mixed up in? Emily's lips quivered as she spoke. It has to do with a dangerous deal. I was only trying to help someone and now you're tangled up in something you can't control, the woman interrupted, her voice low but cutting. She seemed unfazed by Emily's appearance, instead focusing intently on the girl's words. Richard crossed his arms, his expression a mixture of concern and suspicion. If you're in trouble, we need to know the details. Hiding things just makes this worse. Emily's eyes shimmered with unshed tears, a silent plea for understanding. I didn't want you to see me like this. I thought if I could sort it out alone, but it only grew worse. What did you do? Jessica asked softly, wanting to reach out but unsure if she should take that step. I took something I shouldn't have, Emily admitted, shame coloring her cheeks. A wallet from a man who's not just any man. He's a billionaire involved in some shady stuff. He won't stop until he gets it back. Jessica glanced towards the woman, who was now watching Emily with newfound interest. The air grew thick with possibilities like tension before a storm. So what's the plan? Jake asked, his voice tighter than before. Emily looked at each of them, trying to gauge their resolve. I need to find a way to make it right. I need time. If I can get back to him before it escalates? Richard interrupted. His brow knotted. Do you even know what these people are capable of? This isn't just about a wallet. This is a matter of life and death. The sound of the cafe's front door swinging was followed by a deep voice that reverberated in the room, causing everyone to freeze yet again. And yet, here we are. Jessica's breath caught in her throat. She turned, eyes wide, facing the unmistakably intimidating figure that had just entered. A man dressed impeccably, with an air of authority and danger. Let the games begin, he said, eyes glinting with mischief, as if he was already anticipating the chaos to come. What did this new player mean for them? Jessica's stomach churned with dread as she realized they were closer to the edge than ever before. Would they step back? Or would they leap into the unknown together? Emily's eyes widened, locked on the newcomer as apprehension washed over her. You shouldn't be here, she gasped, her voice a fragile whisper. Why not? It's all part of the fun, the man replied, a grin spreading across his face. His confidence filled the room, dripping with a kind of dark energy that made the atmosphere electric. Jessica's heart raced. She could see Emily's panic rising, coursing through her like a tidal wave. What do you mean fun? She asked, nearly choking on her words. This isn't a game. Emily needs help. What you all need, the man cut in, tilting his head slightly as he surveyed the group, is clarity. And I'm here to deliver just that. Jake stepped forward, ready to confront him. Who the hell are you? And what do you want with her? His voice was strained, anger flaring like flames. The man raised his hands in mock surrender. Let us not rush things. I'm merely the messenger. He paused, his voice lowering, but I can be so much more. If you choose. Richard exchanged glances with Jessica, worry etched on his face. Emily, explain who this guy is. You can't trust. Before he could finish, the man interrupted again. You see, Emily here thought she could play hero. But after lifting a wallet from a seasoned player in this game, she's now the target. A mistake surely, but one that can be rectified. If she's willing to play. What do you mean play? Jessica asked, her voice trembling with urgency. She needed answers, not riddles. Emily stepped back, taking a breath as she fought back tears. Please just leave us alone. I don't want any more of this. No. The man chuckled, a sound devoid of warmth. But I think you do. Trust me, sweetheart. You're in deeper than you realize. The tension thickened as he advanced, a cat sizing up his prey. Jessica felt a surge of protectiveness for Emily, driving her to action. She placed herself in front of her friend. If you're here to intimidate her, you'll have to go through me first. The man's gaze narrowed, assessing this new barrier with a flicker of amusement. Brave but foolish. He leaned closer, the scent of cologne sharp in the air. How far would you go to help her? What are you willing to sacrifice? Richard stepped forward too, adding to the protective front. Enough of your games. What do you want? Just a two-way deal, he replied, smoothing his suit. Help her find the wallet, return it, and I'll make sure she walks away free of consequences. She'll remain unscathed and the chase will end. Emily's hand clutched the edge of the table, her voice trembling. You don't get it. It's not just a wallet. It belongs to someone dangerous. The moment I returned it, it could put me right back in his crosshairs. Or, the man countered, you could use my help to ensure a clean slate. The choice is yours. I don't force good girls to make bad decisions. But trust me, the clock is ticking. Jessica's mind raced. Part of her recognized the threat, but another part was intrigued, the tantalizing idea that maybe, just maybe, this could all work out. Staring at her childhood friend, she saw the desperation in Emily's eyes and felt a rush of determination. Perhaps there was a way through this storm. But they were running out of time. And something told her they were standing on the brink of something much more complex than a simple wallet. "Let us talk," Jessica finally said, her voice steady. "But the minute you cross the line, we're done." Well, the man smiled. "Now we're getting somewhere. After all, city that where the real fun begins?" As he leaned back, a knowing look in his eye, Jessica's heart raced. What exactly were they about to step into? And could they really trust someone who thrived on shadows and secrets? They were at a crossroads, and Jessica felt the weight of the moment pressing down. Every choice could lead to salvation or disaster. What would they decide? The cafe felt like the calm before a storm, electric, intense. Emily stood trembling, pulled between fear and hope. Jessica glanced at Richard, feeling an urgency rising like a tide. They had to act now. "Tell us what you really want," Jessica spoke, her voice firm. "We aren't toys for your games. This is real life for all of us." The man in the suit cocked an eyebrow, intrigued by her spirit. "Real life? Or a series of choices? You're all standing on the precipice, and what you choose now will define everything. Stop talking in riddles." Jake snapped, advancing a step. The tension was palpable, straining like a bowstring ready to snap. "What does Emily do to fix this?" The man straightened, an amused smile playing at the corners of his lips. "Simple, really. She hands over the wallet and a deal is struck. You get a life free from all this mess, and I walk away without a trace of trouble." "Nothing in this world is free," Richard interjected. "You're asking Emily to risk everything. Risk? Or opportunity?" The man countered smoothly. "Choose wisely. You're running out of options while the clock ticks its damned melody." Jessica took a step closer to Emily, trying to radiate strength that she desperately wished she had. "We're not going to let you manipulate us. Emily deserves better than this. We can find a way around it together." As words fell from Jessica's lips, she felt something shift inside her, like armor forming around her heart. They were all in this together now, bound by choices that loomed over their heads like dark clouds. With a flicker of hope in Emily's eyes, she whispered, "But what if he's right? What if this is my only way out?" "No." Jessica's voice was a mixture of urgency and resilience. "We cannot let fear dictate our choices. There has to be another way." The man leaned back against the counter, amused. "You're quite the impassioned one. But tell me, are you ready to risk your own safety for her?" For the first time, Jessica hesitated, doubt creeping in. The stakes were higher than they'd ever realized. Suddenly, the path ahead felt foggy and uncertain. What if taking on these dangerous people meant losing everything she had just begun to believe in? Richard broke her contemplative moment. "Every moment we stand here, we're losing precious time. If there's a way out, we need to explore it." His voice was steady but urgent, igniting a fiery resolve in Jessica's gut. "What if we find that wallet without falling into this trap?" she suggested. The idea took root in her mind like an unyielding vine. "Maybe we can outsmart this guy. We don't have to give in to fear. Suppose you return the wallet?" The man mused, eyes narrowing. "I'd still have to uphold the deal I made with the original owner. The smell of blood, so to speak, would still linger." "Then we find a way to clear Emily," Richard said firmly. "But we need a strategy. We need to think it through together." "That's a tall order, Richard," the man chuckled, still seeking any hint of weakness. "A typical gamble for someone who isn't yet in my shoes." "Then let us take that gamble," Jessica said, her heart racing with newfound urgency. "We'll face this together. We don't need a devil in a suit to dictate our fates." In that moment, the man's amusement faded, replaced by intrigue. "You really think you can outplay me?" With determination gleaming in her eyes, Jessica nodded. "We're not afraid of the dark. If you think you own this game, then let us put your pieces to the test." The man leaned in closer, pondering her words. "Perhaps you would make a formidable player in this field. There's more than meets the eye with you." Behind her, Emily's face illuminated with a flicker of hope. Richard stood resolutely at Jessica's side, the strength of their bond grounding them. They were fighting for each other, and against a darkness that had tried to break them. The man's expression turned serious. "Very well, but know this: if you fail, the consequences will be unforgiving. I'll be watching, and everything you risk won't be forgotten. The stakes are higher than mere cash." Before he could leave, Jessica called out, her voice strong, "Whatever it takes, we'll find a way." The man paused, the shadow of challenge flickering across his face. Then let the games begin. As he walked out, the air in the cafe felt less heavy. It was as if a storm had passed, leaving them clearer, stronger. They were no longer merely victims in this dangerous game. They were players, ready to reclaim their lives. Together we'll face whatever comes next, Richard said, pride swelling in his chest as he glanced between Jessica and Emily. In that moment something profound connected them, a bond forged in fire. A pact that breathed life into their hope. Jessica's heart swelled with courage and defiance. She felt alive, finally taking charge of her destiny. Let us make a plan, Jessica said, her eyes set with fierce determination. No more running. We're going to beat this. And with that they gathered, heads huddled close, not as mere survivors, but as a family ready to reclaim their futures. As they charted their course, Jessica felt a radiant smile break across her face. Hope surged brighter than ever, igniting the light within. This was their moment and they would seize it. Now more than ever, they were ready to transform their stories no matter the costs. Before you leave this journey behind, remember, you need to subscribe now and be part of this amazing adventure. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and keep this story alive. Comment your reactions and feelings about this ending. Your voice matters. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second. Your support makes all the difference.